Gokigen yo minasama. This is Toshino Kyoko from Nanamori Chugakko, here to bring you some tips and tricks while playing as Ling Xiaoyu, the Dancing Phoenix. I recommend picking Ling Xiaoyu if you want a character with fantastic evasion, crushing, and also very fun and fulfilling movement mechanics. Utilizing her whole package and her movement, it's very hard. She's a very hard character to play. She's very hard to master. But let me tell you, the Xiaoyu players who are 1000 times better than me, when you see them play this character and they utilize her whole toolkit and her movement, it is a thing of beauty. In my opinion, she's the most entertaining character to watch if somebody is a monster with her. Her movement really fits to her title, which is the Dancing Phoenix. It is truly a beauty to behold. She also has a very good throw game. She lost So Shumi from Tekken 7, which is the throw that puts her behind her opponent, but she got Waning Moon as a replacement, which is even better than So Shumi, at least in my opinion. She is also very bloody scary in her heat state. She has two heat smashes. One that you can perform while facing your opponent, the standard one that every character has. It leaves her +5 on block. But she also has another one that you can perform from her rain dance stance. And even if it's blocked, it leaves you at a massive +18 advantage, while putting you instantly to the Hypnotist stance. Also, while she's in heat, the properties of her Hypnotist 2 and Hypnotist 3 change, allowing them to be charged up faster. Without heat, if you use her Hypnotist 3, you have to take 2 steps to get the knockdown version. If you instantly mash Hypnotist 3 while in the stance, you will get this, a pretty weak low on its own. However, if you wait, you will get this, and you can follow it up with a guaranteed 3+4. However, while in heat, she instantly skips the weakest versions of Hypnotist 2 and Hypnotist 3. And in the example of Hypnotist 3, it allows you instantly go to the knockdown version and follow it up with a guaranteed 3+4. So, what are her weaknesses then? Well, she is generally very unsafe character. She has very rewarding launchers, especially Mistrust from her rain dance stance, but it is very unsafe. So, if you utilize her launchers unwisely, you will pay a hefty price, because you will get launch punished. She also has some range problems. They aren't as bad as in Tekken 7 in my opinion, but she still has very stubby pokes, and overall compared to other characters in this game, her normals are shorter range. Another weakness that Xiaoyu has is that she is very weak against sidestepping left and sidewalking left. She also has some problems against turning opponents and some problems approaching the opponent. However, with the new heat mechanic and considering how strong it is, especially with her, now she has a vastly improved pressure game after she finally manages to break the turtle's guard or manages to approach her opponent successfully. So the heat system really benefits her pressure, as I said, finally when she's able to crack the opponent's defense. She is also very hard to play and has a high skill ceiling. Some people might consider this a weakness or a strength or neither. It is a weakness to those players who try her out and feel like that her evasion and movement tricky playstyle isn't for them, or that they feel that they don't make any progress utilizing her toolkit, especially the movement. I consider it a strength, because every step you take learning her movement and using her toolkit, her moves, it feels very accomplishing and fulfilling. She also is a character that has a great player expression. On a more subjective note, I also think that she's very cute, and I really love her fighting style. Pi Guangchang. Sorry for all the Chinese people if I butchered the pronunciation. The first tip I want to talk about is the move list in Tekken 8. Compared to Tekken 7, it has some of the same information. If you press X, you can open up the, I think it's called Legend. So you can open up this menu that shows you the different properties of the icons. So you have the same, or some of the same things like in Tekken 7. For example, that's a screw, and then you have like, you know, tracking, and then as a new icon or a new property you have the heat, or what moves are heat engagers. But there is these bloody sticky notes or post-it notes, whatever you want to call them. And these notes actually give you a lot of information that is easy to overlook. They basically inform you that if you do a certain move, you can go to a different stance or do some kind of follow-up afterwards if you hold a certain direction or press a certain button. So one down, two down, one. So as you can see, when you do this is actually a pretty good punish, a jab punish. So when you do this, she will always go to rain dance stance, face away from her opponent. But then it says in that post-it note that if you hold down, you will face forward. And then it also says if you do the fan dance normally, but then you hold back, you shift to Hypnotist stance. So if you hold down, she will automatically face to look at her opponent, so you don't go to rain dance stance. If you do this and you hold back, you go to Hypnotist stance. And what I really wanted to mention are the couple of ones that I completely overlooked and I have started using. One of them is when she is in rain dance stance. Let's see if I can find it now. It's back facing opponent, dark and stormy. So I don't really use this string myself because the mistrust or the launcher from the it's a very good and fast launcher, but you shouldn't abuse that too much because it's very unsafe. You will just get launched. But that's for another maybe that's a whole other can of worms. But as you can see in here, it says that if you do 2 and 1 and you hold back, you can go to Hypnotist. So if you are facing away, in this case we are facing away from Leo, if you do this, you can go to Hypnotist. And I completely overlooked some of these Hypnotist stance post-it notes. Another example is, and it also shows this in the post-it notes here, Bai Yang Shu and Xuan Wu, destroying the pronunciation. But this is your typical, you usually use this, especially if you are like a beginner or intermediate like me. This is like the attack that you use to, or the string that you use to end your combo with this one. No, not that one, this. But, and this is actually pretty good because this jails the opponent, these two. So if you hold back after doing this, you actually go to Hypnotist. These are some things that I completely ignored and overlooked. I just hastily read through some of these sticky notes, and then I kind of just like forgot about them. But you should really go through these post-it notes for your own character, whoever you play, Leo, Lily, whoever, because these really give you some very valuable and treasured information about what you can do after certain attacks, whether it's regarding that you can go to a stance or whatever. So these are very useful. These are just a couple of examples that I learned to utilize with Xiaoyu. The next step in our list is gonna be hit confirming. So Xiaoyu has gained some new tools which are very useful, and one of them is this string. So it's back 4 and 1. Those who have played Tekken 7 might remember that she could do another, or it was one of her main punish tools. It was a very good move in punishing. It was this kick, and then you could do another kick afterwards. So this had like it was like a double kick what you could do, but they removed that. Instead they gave her this palm strike, which is a very good punish, because it gives you a heat engager and a mix-up afterwards if this hits. But because this is so good, and I'm also guilty of this, and I haven't really played against a lot of Xiaoyus in this game. I think she's very rare, or she is a very rare character. She's very hard to play, I guess that's some of it. And people just want to brain dead 50-50 with Mishimas and vortex everybody. Those opponents that I have played against that use Xiaoyu, I have noticed that they have the same bad habit that I also got, and that is that I autopiloted. I autopiloted this. If you autopilot this string, some people, they don't block the second hit. They just eat every time this palm strike, and you get a heat engager and a mix-up afterwards. So your brain starts to, your neurons activate when this hits, even though they block the first hit, and then you start to autopilot it, which is a very bad idea, because this is -14. So this is -14, so you will get punished for it very heavily, depending on your opponent's skill level. I think for Xiaoyu, I don't play any other character, because this game is like the hardest fighting game I have ever played. You have to be a bloody Albert Einstein to even master a single character and the system mechanics, so I only play her. That's enough for my brain capacity. So I think Xiaoyu gets this one as a punish. So if a Xiaoyu would do this to me or just autopilot, I get this and a combo. I get a juggle after this. So autopiloting this is a very bad idea. It's tempting, but you shouldn't do it because it's -14. So the next autopiloting or a bad habit with hit confirms I want to talk about is this move from Art of Phoenix, which is 2 and 1. It's -12. It isn't as bad as, spamming this and getting punished. It's -14. But this move is actually utilized bloody well in one hit confirmable string that she has. Let's put Leo to stand and standing block, so this roots out all the non-natural combos if you do this. So stand and standing block, so then you know what combos and what doesn't. If you do forward 1 and you hold down, you can actually go to Art of Phoenix instantly. If you hit this, you can actually hit confirm every time 2 and 1 from Art of Phoenix. So like this. You have to be fast, otherwise they can block it. And this is very good. It's 34 damage and it's a heat engager. But it also carries the risk that now every time, of course, if you just want to do this and go to Art of Phoenix, you can do other stuff. You can do a low or a throw, or roll around, try to mix up your opponent in very many different ways. But if you start to autopilot this, that always when you use this, and even if it gets blocked, you do this, it's minus 12. So as you can see, if we put her to block, you do this, you will get punished. I started to harass the opponent sometimes with this attack, and then sometimes when I went to Art of Phoenix, I just automatically started doing this because I thought that, well, they're not gonna block it, and I get a heat engager, and then I get a mix-up. And like with this one, I have seen a lot of other Xiaoyus, what I have played, everybody autopilots this. Everybody does the same mistake as I do. I guess it's because the heat engager and activating heat in this game is so good that everybody wants to activate it as soon as possible and take unnecessary risks by doing it. Because every time this gets blocked, it's minus 14, every time this gets blocked, it's minus 12. So then, what kind of exercises I personally use to practice hit confirms? Well, for these two examples, I put my opponent, whoever he or she is in the practice mode, to random block and then standing block. So now, for example, if you want to practice hitting the back 4 and 1, you only do the whole string when the first kick hits. As you can see, just an example, she will now either, block or the hit happens. So, and this is hard, like, I'm very bad at hit confirming, especially in this game. In this game, in Tekken, hit confirm is fucking 100 times harder than, like, for example, in Street Fighter, in my opinion. It's a very hard thing to do in this game. I guess it's because it's so, and especially Tekken 8, it's so fast-paced. But anyways, always when you see a hit, and then you follow through with the string. Like that. Now I failed. Now I would have been eating this from Xiaoyu, for example, if that fails. And the same thing works with this one. If this gets blocked, don't do anything. Like that. And that's guaranteed. Doesn't have to be a counter hit or anything. So then a final example of something that I started to autopilot and I got a very bad habit, and this was actually already in Tekken 7. And it kind of resurfaced in this game, I guess because I kept a very long break in the Tekken as a whole. I didn't play Tekken 7 in a very long time. So when I came back to this game, Xiaoyu still has the Giant Slayer, which is down 3 and 4. So let's put him now to stand and standing block. So down 3 and 4. This string. When you start the game, if you are like beginner green ranks, for example, you play Xiaoyu, this is very good to do this, and then your opponents either don't block the high that follows, or they especially they don't duck it. But as you can see, this is not a combo. She will always block the second hit, even though this hits. And you might think, well, it's not that bad, it's only 0, so it's basically neutral, or you are not minus. But as soon as somebody starts to, duck this, you will get dearly punished for it. It's very easy to autopilot this. because it does a lot of damage if both of the attacks hit. It doesn't show the combo, but as you can see, it's a good chunk. And the same thing applies to from the rain dance stance down 3 and 4. This string. This is a very good poke. Xiaoyu as a whole, also in this game and like in Tekken 7, she has range problems. Her pokes are very stubby. Her moves overall have range problems. They're pretty stubby, and that's one of her weaknesses. But this poke is pretty good, and this poke especially, this is like even better. This is a very good. Try to use this poke to make your opponent crouch, and then mix them up. But I'll get into that in a later point. But this is a very good button, so why not just, you know, do this all the time? It's only -5 if they block it. As you can see, it's not a combo. It doesn't connect. She always blocks it. So then, when people start to block this, or even worse, when they start to duck this, you will get punished. They will either launch you or do another punish, depending from your opponent's skill level, but you will eat the dirt, so to speak. So I'm just gonna show this first, the Giant Slayer, as an example, like an example how can you can punish it, and why it's so bad to autopilot and spam it. So I have now recorded or put the opposing Xiaoyu to do it. So you can see if you block that one, she will completely miss, and then you can do this, for example. Or you can do this, and then combo however you like. So the problem is that if you autopilot this, this will start to happen pretty soon. You don't even have to go that far in ranks. People start to do this if you spam it in round, and then depending who you play against, they will just punish it, basically. But if you get a counter hit with these two strings that I previously mentioned, it will actually combo and you get a good chunk of damage. So now I have counter hit set. You get 35 from that. This gives you 34. So you should go to your practice settings and set this to shuffle. So then you can always learn, or you can learn how to start doing this string when it counter hits. It's very hard in this game to learn how to counter hit confirm, depending on the move, of course. But I find this personally very bloody hard to confirm this or either of those strings. So then you just have to start practicing. Always when you get a counter hit, you do both kicks. And always when it's not a counter hit, if you just want to poke and you get a normal hit, then you just, then you just poke. Now it's set to shuffle. Like that. That's a kit confirm. And you have to be careful if you don't do it. You have to be very fast. Because if you only do this poke, down and 3, and you are too late, you will get while standing 4. And that doesn't, well, then that's, if that gets blocked, you get punished. Like this. This is not right if you're too slow. Same thing with this rain dance stance. Same string. Now I should have done it like that. So we have a little change in scenery. We have our Mishima Elitist here in the right. And next I want to talk about that it's very important to try to condition your opponent to crouch as Xiaoyu. Especially from her rain dance stance, this has a lot of weaknesses. You can get back thrown, you can't block, and well, the movement is kinda limited, I guess, compared to, because you can't backdash, if that makes sense. You can only, well, you can dash your back towards them and do this, but you can't backdash as in like this, so you can't really move away from your opponent easily. But she has very good mids from her rain dance stance. She has the donkey kick, she has back or forward 3+4, the rolling, which is a launcher if it hits, but it's also very unsafe, so be careful. And then she has one of her best moves in her arsenal from rain dance stance, which is mistrust. This very fast launcher, one of her best moves, no doubt. So it's rain dance stance and 4, but it's also -18, so you're gonna get launched. So don't bloody spam it. It's very unsafe. It's very rewarding, but it's very unsafe. So these are all very good mids that you should try to utilize. So if your opponent just refuses to crouch, you can annoy them with this. And maybe sometimes get the counter hits, so then you can do this whole string. Or you can just, you know, do these 0 jabs to annoy them. And there's always the danger that you can launch them by doing rain dance stance down and 4. This is also very unsafe, so you will get launch punished if they block this. But there's always this mind game to your opponent that you can throw this out and also get a launch on them yourself. So try to get your opponent to crouch, so then you can actually start to utilize her very strong mids from rain dance stance. If they always just, you know, stand, block and never duck, then this will never work. So then you do some kind of mix up. You go this, and it's -18, and you get launched. So in my opinion, it's very important to try to get your opponent to crouch Xiaoyu. She has a very good throw game. She has the new throw, the Waning Moon from Wang, which is a very good throw. Side switching throw, and also her up forward 1+2 throw. So this is also another thing that you can make your opponent to crouch more. Try to throw them. Also her throws from rain dance stance, this breaking is very complicated. If she does throws from rain dance stance, you can do either this normal throw, but then there's also one where she kind of leaps forward, and it has a very good range, like this. So both of these throws can also make your opponent want to duck. And then when they start to duck, then you start using these very powerful mids from rain dance stance. And also she has very good, well, from here she has the best mids in my opinion, but she also has good mids from facing the opponent. Like for example this one, which is also a heat engager. So down, back, 1. So then the next one is gonna be kinda specific in its way, but it's also very important. It's confirming your juggle from 1+2 of Xiaoyu. And now we have another change of scene. We have Law, and let me tell you, Law in this game, he's so damn handsome. God damn it. Like Unreal Engine 5, they gave a huge facelift to almost every character, in my opinion. But Law, Xiaoyu, Lily, they are so damn good looking in this new game. Just to get that out of the way. So let's look at Law's Adonis figure for this example, and get rid of Kazuya's ugly mug. So anyway, if you hit your opponent with Xiaoyu's 1+2, we have to put him to take the hit, and no counter it on. That's good. So this attack, This is, I think, -7. Yeah. This is a very good button to throw around in neutral. You catch people off guard with this. And I don't have any empirical proof. This was much harder in Tekken 7. I think they made it easier as a whole. They tried to make this game more accessible to new players, which is a good thing in my opinion. So they made also this easier to confirm, but it's still pretty hard in my opinion. So if you hit this attack, it doesn't have to be a counter hit. You can do Raccoon Swing, which is forward forward 3, and pick them up. But this link is it's especially if you are playing online, even if you have a good connection, you have to really practice this. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things in Xiaoyu's arsenal, or like a hit confirm or a combo, whatever you want to call it. So you want to do this and then Raccoon Swing. Like that. So I'm gonna do now the proper combo. I did Tekken 7 stuff, forgive me. Like this, for example. That's one example. I don't know if that's optimal. But yeah, so confirming this with this, like that's what's gonna happen to you bloody 100 times in a row when you're still learning her. You're gonna suffer from this, or you miss completely. There's a certain sweet spot, I think, that you can't even confirm it anymore. I might be wrong. If you do it like from absolute max range, I think then you can't hit it with this. But the closer you are, of course, the easier it is. So if you do it very close, then it's more easy. But there is like a lot of kind of like you can do it like even from this far away. But now I failed. Again. As you can see, it's possible. Well, I failed the ending of the combo, but as you can see, it's possible to do it from very far away. But this is hard. But if you learn how to do this, then every hit in neutral, what you score with 1+2, is gonna give you that much damage. It's very useful. It's very specific. But you should start to practice this as soon as possible. So this will really raise your damage output. So then the next and the last thing that Kyoko-san wants to share with you is more of an universal thing, and it's breaking throws. In this game, compared to Tekken 7, you have to learn how to break throws. And first I thought about it, and I pondered it myself, that why people throw so much in this game. At least this is of course anecdotal evidence, but for me it feels like they throw a lot more in this game compared to Tekken 7. And then I realized, because you always get a heat engager, you have a mix-up. You can throw your opponent. So a lot of people, when I play ranked, and I do this also myself because it's a good mix-up, you get a heat engager and then you throw them. And then you mix up the different throws, whatever you want to do, like normal throws, 1+2 breaks, 1 breaks, 2 breaks. And I guess people realize that, well, breaking throws in this game is hard. I suck at it. I'm terrible at breaking throws. Especially those 8s, fucking 8s, king chain throws. I just say, Jesus, take the wheel and hit 1 or 2 and hope that I don't die. But even like normal throws, I have always found them hard to break, even though I think in the newer Tekken games it's either 1 or 2. I'm not sure if in the older games it was that you have to break this throw with 1 and this throw with 2. But you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But now it's universally the regular crabs are 1 or 2 break. But when the people you play against, when they get a heat engager, when they realize that you can't break throws, they will start to throw you a lot as a mix-up after you are in that stun animation. Well, then you might say, well, I'm just gonna start ducking. So then the throw misses and I can get a punish. If you start to duck every time and never learn how to break the throws, what's gonna happen is that they are gonna either throw you and then you can't break the throw, you take the throw, or you're gonna start ducking every time. And then when you duck, they hit you with a mid after the heat engager mix-up. If you learn how to break throws, on the other hand, then it means that most of the time when they use their mix-up opportunity by doing this, and you get thrown, you break it, that's basically they wasted that 50-50 in a way. So breaking the throws basically ruins that whole throw game when they do a heat engager. It's much better to learn how to break the throw than to always duck. Because if they don't throw and you are standing and blocking, then you can block a mid. So then they have to, you know, do a heat engager and do, like, for example, a snake edge and try to get you with a low. I think that's the reason why people throw a lot in this game, is because they heat engager, they do a throw, and then they realized, well, it seems that nobody in this game, or most of the people, especially new players, they don't know how to break throws. So then they realize that, okay, I'm gonna always throw them when I do my heat engager, because nobody knows how to break them apparently. But I guess as a whole this is better for the community, because this really forces you to break throws. Because you have to start doing it. And then you also have some throws like King that are heat engagers, he goes to heat. And that's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not gonna go into this time. But if you get thrown all the time, you just have to go to the practice mode and put your opponent, use this defense and just set different throws with different breaks to these actions. Then you can set their frequency, how frequently they do something, and you just have to shuffle it up, put the shuffling, and play like a bloody lottery game. You have to look your opponent's hands. Like, I'm not gonna start to explain now how the throw breaking works. I think there are a lot of videos, faster, very short videos that show how to do it. But basically, you have to look your opponent's hands if it's a, you know, 1-2 or 1+2 break, to put it simply. Just have to put those throws in the shuffle mode, look at your opponent's hands, and just practice the throw breaking. Because as a whole, even though this is, like I said, anecdotal evidence, but I feel that people throw way much in this game. Way much. And it's also that power crushes. If you throw this, it's basically unbreakable if they throw you and you punish somebody spamming power crush. It's an unbreakable throw. But that's just my personal experience, and a couple of my friends have also said that they feel like that they get thrown a lot in this game. So practice your throw breaks, so then you can kinda solve a huge part of this heat engager dilemma. If they always start to, you know, throw you after doing this. So then you have one defensive tool in your toolbox. You can either break the throw, crouch, or standing block. You don't have to always crouch because you are afraid that you can't, or you can't. You're afraid that you are not able to break the throws, or you just can't break the throws. You are unsure of yourself. You can only crouch and standing block. And when your opponent, like I said, when they figure that out, that you can't break throws, that you always have to crouch to counter them, they will start to just pummel you with mids, and then you're gonna get bloody KO'd in less than 7 seconds. And there you have it, my blokes and gals. This was my very first guide/tutorial video I have ever made, so I hope it was at least somewhat useful to some of you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night, wherever or whenever you're watching this. And I will see you all, lovely people, in the fields of battle in the King of Iron Fist tournament. Sayonara.